Last Christmas, my girlfriend got me this bucket list poster of 100 movies to watch. It's pretty cool, got some good stuff on here, but the problem is, I've seen like 90% of the movies because I watch way too many movies.
Not to worry.
She came out with a genius solution. I am to rewatch all the movies before I can check them off the list. So let's do a little. That means I have to watch 8.3 movies a month, or just under 2 a week.
Now that's f***ing dope, huh?
New Zealand is in lockdown. Sorry if you want to come to New Zealand, but sorry, we're closed. Come another day.
But seeing that I'm home alone for a month, I've been cracking through my bucket list posters so quickly. So I thought I'd do a mid-month update for the bucket list. I watched 11 movies in just 10 days.
That's pretty fucking impressive, right?
So let's get into it. Yeah! Lord of the Rings is a classic. Peter Jackson's trilogy depicting J.R.R. Tolkien's novels is absolutely perfect. I may be a bit biased, as these movies were made in New Zealand, and is so important to the image of New Zealand around the world. The shots of New Zealand's vast landscapes are kind of breathtaking, give me such pride in the country where I live. These movies are extremely long, and because I'm not a bitch, I watch the extended versions of every movie, which altogether clocks up to 682 minutes. That's 11.4 hours!
Jesus Christ!
There is a problem with death in these movies, where no main character really seems to die, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. The problem is they constantly try to fake deaths to make the audience think that the main character is dead, when they're really not. Oh no, Gandalf was dead!
Nope.
Not Aragorn!
Psych, I'm kidding again, you idiot.
Merry and Pippin are fucked! Never. Frodo is so dead.
Why the fuck you lying? Why you always lying?
But other than that, these movies are so impressive. Amazing cast, great score, and incredible visuals and set pieces. I would recommend watching some behind the scenes for these movies, especially to see how they made the Hobbit so small, so impressive. I've given all 3 Lord of the Rings movies 5 stars. I feel like it's one big experience, and it's impossible to give a different rating for each movie. The entire trilogy is such a great experience, and if you haven't seen them and you have like 12 hours on your hands or whatever, please watch them. I've never seen this movie before now, and wow, it's just so good. It is a horror suspense film about a woman who thinks there is a cult of witches trying to take away her unborn baby. Every aspect of this movie is done so well. The acting, the score, and the suspense are all done so incredibly well, giving me a great experience. The one problem with this film is the fact that it was directed by Roman Polanski. Polanski is a great director, really an expert in his craft, but the problem is the fact that he's a fucking sex offender. He was found guilty of raping a 13-year-old in 1977 and fled America and didn't serve any prison time. He is still making movies today, showing that if you're rich and successful, the law just doesn't apply to you. Even though I wish Polanski did, he still made a pretty great movie in Rosemary's Baby. 5 stars.
But do keep in mind that I'm a sex offender.
This is another movie directed by Roman Polanski on this list. The Pianist came out in 2002, and is about a Jewish man in Poland fleeing the Nazis. This is the best and most grueling depiction of the Holocaust put to film, better than Schindler's List or The Boy in Striped Pajamas. It really makes you feel about the struggle that this character has to go through just to survive during this terrible time in the world's history. This movie's scale is so impressive, having so many extras and large set pieces, really showing the severity and scale of the Holocaust. My main gripe with the movie is the fact that it's a bit too long. I feel like it could be better with a shorter runtime. This movie won the Palme d'Or at Cannes Film Festival, and Polanski won Best Director at the Oscars, even though this is in 2002, well after he raped that kid. It is so hard for me to separate this film from Polanski's personal life. It really bothers me that in cinema we're celebrating such a terrible person. I've given this movie 4.5 stars. Maybe I'd feel better if this movie didn't win so many awards, like we're celebrating such a terrible person. Martin Scorsese was really robbed at the 2002 Oscars. He lost to a fucking rapist. This was the first movie on the bucket list that I legitimately didn't enjoy myself while watching. I don't really get the appeal of this movie at all, and it's not because I'm transphobic or anything. I really just don't understand why anyone would like this film. I'm a big fan of musicals, and yet there's only like 2 songs in the entire movie that I actually liked, or could tolerate. Nothing really makes sense, none of the characters were relatable, the set pieces looked like they were cheesy and fake, like they were taken straight out of Flash Gordon. Maybe I should watch it again in the future to give it another chance, but currently I have it at 1 star. Gladiator is Ridley Scott's 2000 epic about a Roman general who is kidnapped and made to fight as a gladiator. This movie is a classic blockbuster, set into pop culture. Everyone knows that famous line, "Would you like the lemonade? Do you have the King of Spades? You're such a smooth brain." It is a rather enjoyable popcorn flick. Russell Crowe and Joaquin Phoenix both give great performances. Phoenix always giving a great performance, but Crowe is kinda hit or miss.
5 years for what you did!
The score is far too similar to the Pirates of the Caribbean score, which is so frustrating. I know that Pirates of the Caribbean came out after this, but I saw it before I saw this, cementing in my mind that that score belongs to it opposed to Gladiator. They attempted to have a feeling of scale and grandeur to the costuming and sets, but I feel like the costumes all look very tacky and fake, not really really looking too real. I've given this 3 stars. If you haven't seen it, don't go rush and watch it. But as I said, it's a good popcorn flick, something to watch at night with a couple of mates having a few beers. I'm working on a video about The Dark Knight and the rest of the Dark Knight trilogy, so watch that when it comes out in about a week. I've already made a video about Christopher Nolan's film career before he made The Dark Knight, so go watch that. The Dark Knight is great, would definitely recommend. 4.5 stars. Wes Anderson is one of the best directors working today. I'll probably make a best director video on him in the future. He has such an interesting and unique style to his directing. His movie The Grand Budapest Hotel is really something. It is a comedic murder mystery type movie, as a hotel manager and his lobby boy work together to figure out who murdered Madame Celine, and have to claim their inheritance from her, all the while her scheming family is trying to stop them. This is an all-star cast, being jam-packed with incredible actors. Willem Dafoe's supporting role is one of my favourites of his in his entire filmography, being so cartoony and goblin-like, a role he was born to play. Production design is so unique, having the Wes Anderson flair throughout. All the shots were designed so symmetrically, make me appreciate the grueling hours it took to make every shot just right. The aspect ratio changes throughout the film, as different time frames are shown, which I thought was a nice way for the audience to distinguish between the different settings. It kinda reminded me of the black and white scenes and coloured scenes in Christopher Nolan's Memento, helping the audience understand what sequences they were watching. I love this movie. I have it 4.5 stars. I keep wanting to put it at 5, but I'm just not sure. It's on the cusp of being 5, you know? I think I'm gonna get some shit for this, but I really didn't like Snatch. Honestly, I was confused the entire time. I didn't really get what the hell was going on. The director, Guy Ritchie, is famous for his eccentric editing and his fast-paced movies, this being one of his most famous, but I just couldn't get into it. I felt like I was having a seizure the entire time, with the ADD editing and the fast talking. The performances from Brad Pitt and Benicio del Toro were really enjoyable, but everyone else wasn't that likable. I'm looking at you, Jason Statham. I liked Guy Ritchie's 2020 film, The Gentleman, which I felt was more grounded and more understandable, opposed to Snatch. There are a lot of similarities between the two films. I'll try and watch this movie again in a few months, as so many people love this. I think I just need to give it another chance. But as it sits now, I have it at 1.5 stars. Seven is one of David Fincher's best films. It is about Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman's characters, who are detectives as they hunt down a serial killer who is killing one person every day for 7 days to represent the 7 deadly sins. Fincher has made some of the best movies ever put to film. His movies are packed to the brim with metaphors and deeper meanings, make his films so ripe for analysis. I don't want to spoil this film as it's so easily spoiled, so all I'm going to say is this movie is exceptional, and if you haven't seen it, go do so. I've given this 4.5 stars. I can see myself doing a David Fincher Best Director video sometime in the future. No promises though. I'll probably do another update in 2 weeks at the end of the month, as lockdowns really got me binging movies. Leave some recommendations in the comments about what movies I should watch from the list next. And as I said before, I am working on a second part of my Christopher Nolan Best Director video, which is about the Dark Knight trilogy, so watch that when it comes out.
To smash subscribe.